You're someone with a vision for your practice, for your side hustle, and for your personal journey. But when it comes to establishing your path on how to get to where you want to be with your practice, things get a little messy. You're also someone who'd prefer to go in person instead of to groups and listening to everyone else's story. To me, it sounds like you could benefit from one-on-one consulting with our experienced practice of the practice consultants. From $5.95 a month and up, you can work with a consultant that will give you more direction and practical tried and tested tips matched to you and your goals. For more information, visit practiceofthepractice.com/apply. Again, that's practiceofthepractice.com/apply. This is the Practice of the Practice podcast with Joe Sanok, session number 1290. Welcome to the Practice of the Practice podcast. I am Joe Sanok, your host, where we help you build a thriving private practice you absolutely love. We are so excited to have you here today, hanging out with us. Now, back in May of 2025, we put on the Group Practice Conference. And at this conference, I had this dream of putting on a conference that was unlike any other. I wanted the feeling to be like connections, that people had time to meet each other. I always hated conferences where the parts that I love the most, probably getting dinner with new people or having drinks at the end of the evening, that part was so small in the calendar. And I spent most of my time just running between breakout sessions and keynotes and all of that. And the other side of it was oftentimes it felt like I would be in a session and it'd be a 90-minute session. And I really only got about 10 to 20 minutes worth of content. There's a lot of fluff in there. It just felt like get to the point. And so for what we decided to do at the Group Practice Conference was we decided that we would have 20-minute sessions on the main stage. All of our keynotes, 20 minutes. And that we would have ample time for breakout sessions. And to have time to dig in, to talk about group practice, to get to know people, and to encourage people that if they're having a great conversation, keep that going. You don't have to come back in. Continue those conversations going. And so we found that the folks that came to the Group Practice Conference in May had such a great time. They felt emotionally connected to other group practice owners. And it was just such a great event that we've tripled the size for May of 2026. We're going to be over at Northwestern Michigan College, right on their campus. And we're partnering with both Headway and the Student Life Department to put this on. And our main stage is going to be where the actual TED Talks of Traverse City take place. And then all of our discussions and our kind of digging deeper sessions are going to be throughout an art gallery. It's going to be just such a fun, unique event that we're super excited about. And lots of you weren't able to make the Group Practice Conference in 2025. And so we want to give you just a little glimpse into that. So we're going to be doing a series every week for a while throughout the end of the year where those 20-minute main stage sessions, we're going to be playing those for you. We want you to be able to learn from all of our speakers that we had, and we want you to get excited for the Group Practice Conference in May 2026. So we want you to get excited for this over at grouppracticeconference.com. That's where you can be on the waiting list so that when tickets go live on Black Friday through Cyber Monday, you can grab your ticket. We want you to get those discounts that we have. We want you to get any of those kind of lowest priced tickets. We know they're going to sell out fast. All of our sponsors have committed to sending emails to their list. And, Headway alone, who is our co-host of this, along with the Student Life Department over at NMC, has 60,000 people on their email list that are part of Headway. So we expect, the 300 or so tickets that we're offering to go quickly. So if this is something that you're interested in coming to Traverse City, we want to make sure you're on that wait list and ready to go on Black Friday so that you can get your ticket. We know they're going to go quickly. So head on over to grouppracticeconference.com and you can watch all the different things going on there and get on the wait list so that when that goes live, you get first access. So let's dive into this episode with some of our speakers from the Group Practice Conference in May 2025.
Well, up next we have Jen. I'm so excited for her to join us here on stage. Give it up for Jen.
All right, everybody. So I'm Jennifer Froemel. I am the founder of Innovative Counseling Partners. We're a group practice in Chicago with 7 locations. So I'm happy to be here today. I'm going to be talking about structuring with soul, making sure that we're building processes that actually work for people and not just as a random process. And I want to start by just saying, how many of you would like to recoup 23% of your billing? Terms of like additionally, right? Yeah. So we're gonna start here today. We're gonna start with talking about how it failed for me. In 2014, when I started the practice, I knew that I was really, really interested and totally down with creating systems. Back in the day, I actually started a program with WordPerfect. How many of you in the room remember WordPerfect? Yeah. So I did that then, and when I started the practice, I was like, Mama can't do it all. So I looked for systems, and I found a system, and it was all-encompassing, which was fabulous, until it wasn't. We were making Band-Aid fixes all the time, and in 2018, I made the decision that perhaps we were ready to have an operations manager. And when I trained the operations manager, first of all, how many of you have delegated successfully really, really, really well? Yeah. I sucked at it. It was really, really bad. I had a really hard time giving up the reins. And at the same time, I knew that if I didn't give up the reins, I couldn't continue to grow and expand. So I did it. I gave up the reins. I created an operations manager position with a clinician who I had trained. Thought that was a smart move, right? Yeah, until 2019, that same operations manager comes to me and says, if you don't change your EHR, I quit. And I was like, what? How can we do that? How can you just walk out on me, right? Because I'm like, I trusted you. I was delegating to you. I don't do that with many people. Yeah. Well, that to me felt like the push that I didn't want. That to me felt like it was far from connecting to my soul. So here we go. We look at 9 different EHRs, and because, like Joe was talking about earlier, asking everybody what their practice is like, I have always had this belief that everyone deserves good access to good mental health providers. And I consider us that group, right? Well, we take pretty much everything. And when I say that, if you go to our website, you'll see we accept 27 EAPs. Kind of sometimes want to stab myself in the eye with a fork. But I've got, we're processing. We're cooking with gas now. So in 2019, we made the decision on December 31st. I said to the EHR people, you guys sound exactly like what we want. Oh my God. They're like, yeah, we do everything for you from soup to nuts, from A to Z. And I said, wow, I just hope I'm not taking on what you're saying to believe that like, you're not selling me a bridge in China that doesn't exist. Yeah, we all had a good laugh. It was a lot of fun, right? We all were joking. That sounded real, funny. And then May of 2020 was our rollout. They came in January. Everything was good. Everything was great. And then March 5th, we had a meeting, and I was like, Houston, I think we have some problems. It does not look like rollout May is going to happen. And this guy, Andrew, that we have working with us, I don't think he gets what we do. So I reached out to the implementation specialist. She swore up and down. She knew exactly what was going on. We're fine. We're fine. Yeah. So May 1st, the system gets launched. Noon, I get a call. Hey, Jennifer, this is not ready. This isn't built out. And I was like, what? It's not built out. Like the billing part, we can't even see that. I was like, but I just let go my phone answering service, who was part of my previous one. I just let go my billing service, who was part of my previous one, right? Oh my God, what do we do? So we push it out. We push it through. May 15th, we actually started. And I thought to myself, well, what happened from soup to nuts? Like, I don't get it. How was this all so wrong? Well, I was then in a billing meeting November in 2020. So again, we're like now, 6 months out? We're counting good. And I said, I feel like we're missing something. I have these thoughts, right? Like I suddenly feel like we're missing something. And I'm told, Yeah. Well, your front desk people, they're the one putting in all that information about the insurance, right? I said, what are you talking about? What billing people? I don't have front desk billing people. I rely on y'all to do this. And they literally were like, no, we don't do that. So everything that had been being put into the software from May 15th, nobody was checking the verifications. Nobody. Yeah. And then they said, well, and with the issues log, you'd see that. What issues log? We were never trained. We were never trained on the issues log. So here we were in December. I felt like I was like naked, standing in, a room, completely exposed and not knowing what in the world to do. And so here we were, December, and I was like, we have to hire somebody. So we hired somebody, Vanessa. And Vanessa was like, I can actually do all your billing for you. And I was like, I'm not falling for that. And So there was all this lack of training. We get this front desk person. She's telling me she can do everything for me. And I just kept getting this sneaking suspicion, garbage in and garbage out. I don't know. I just feel like there's something going on here. So I kept getting this struggle going on with accountability. And I just figured well, you don't know what you don't know, right? So I thought, okay, well, maybe I'm wrong. So in 2022, we hired another, and honestly, Vanessa. So we had this 2 Vanessa support team, right, helping us out. And I thought, okay, we're doing well. But I kept feeling like, I don't know if Vanessas really know what they're doing. Yeah. Well, 2023, I had been having almost monthly meetings with the Vanessas and been saying to the Vanessas, you guys, I just feel like there's a problem here. I just don't know. I mean, are you putting it in correctly? Are you checking it? Are you going to Availity? Are you using all the resources? Because again, I learned how to delegate, right, in 2018. So I'm living it, right? Because I want the other parts of my practice to be just as streamlined. I want to create all these structures. So between 2018 and 2023, I'm trying to stay out of this hotbed of mess and trust in delegation. Well, Vanessas are like, yeah, we're doing everything. We're going to take over your billing. How about we stop doing that? Because we found out also not only that the soup to nuts A to Z was not real, and it was the bridge in China that doesn't exist. I also found out that our billing team was based in India. That's why they weren't talking to us on a regular basis, and that's why we couldn't get the answers we were looking for. Nobody told us that that was what was the case. And so we didn't get trained on the issues log, billing teams in India. What else could go wrong? So I said, all right, that's it. I'm going to start to create a structure where we start interviewing billing software companies or billing companies. And so we went ahead, created a structure, sent it out, and said, all right, we have 9 different people. So we started interviewing them, giving them actual real-time entry into our AR system. And that was great. And we let this one person in, and she was like, if you don't get rid of your EHR. And I said, oh my God, no. No. I'm in this AEHR for real. I can't fall on that again, right? No bananas in my tailpipe.
Do you want to expand your private pay caseload? Check out Thrizer. Thrizer helps clients better navigate their out-of-network benefits and takes the entire burden of insurance off of them. That means no more super bills, no more insurance calls, and the best part, no more long reimbursement waits. Chances are you're providing a super bill to your clients. Super bills can be extremely overwhelming and challenging for your clients to navigate, let alone needing to wait months for that reimbursement check. Thrizer provides automatic claim submissions, manages claims end-to-end, and the best part, allows clients to just pay a copay for your session, while Thriver covers the rest of your rate up front and waits for the reimbursement on your client's behalf. This is called Thrizer Pay and is already helping thousands of clients access therapy without needing to be out hundreds of dollars while waiting for reimbursement. It's the best way to make your services more accessible and increase your private pay caseload, hands down. Use the promo code POTP for a free trial. That's POTP, Practice of the Practice, POTP. You'll receive waived credit card fees for your first $2,500 in charges. Time to thrive with Thrizer. Head over to join.thrizer.com/Joe. Again, that's join.thrizer.com/Joe.
So 2023, we meet this one team, and I was so reluctant to meet with them, but I met with them, and guess what, you guys? They came back, and that's what they said. What do you think they said was the problem? Not the EHR. No, they said the EHR was awesome, that it had really great qualities and really great abilities. Nobody? No? Vanessa's. They freaking said it, you guys. They said, it's the Vanessa's. It is the garbage in, garbage out. Jennifer, you freaking know what you're talking about. And that's suddenly when my soul felt alive. I was like, I freaking knew it. So those little voices in your head, listen to them. They're real. All right. So I realized that consistency without rigidity meant care without chaos. Right. So I was like, all right, here's my philosophy. This is what I'm going to live and die on. Right. Is that I want my systems to work. I want to make sure that when I hear that little voice in my head, I'm going to make that little voice in my head come out. And so I recognize that with a system, you have empathy and not rigidity, which at one point back in the day, before I started this practice, what I found happening was I had a business owner who was terrible about micromanagement. I felt suffocated by it. As a matter of fact, Joe, he is part of the reason why I'm a monkey on my little email, because of all the times that he would say to me, well, did you see my email? That was the only way the man wanted to communicate. And so I was like, click, 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 click. Anyway, so insurance verification. My team didn't know about insurance verification, and they didn't have to, right? My clinicians are like, we're therapists. We don't need to know that. But I realized that if we didn't teach them about insurance verification, they were flying blind. So I taught them about insurance verification. We trained them on it. We recorded it so we weren't doing it all the time, because that was insanity. Clients were so happy that they actually were getting feedback from them, right? I was like, this is awesome. Bi-monthly, we have vendor check-ins, real time. They're real. And they're not in India. Nothing wrong with being in India, but they're real. I could actually go to their office if I wanted to, right? So that was a huge change. And then I'm always looking to streamline things, which, I think sometimes my staff are happy about it, especially when they're complaining about things. And other times they're like, I don't understand. What's your method to your madness? So this whole idea of, consistency without rigidity, I feel like the systems matter. I hate playing whack-a-mole. I liked it in the 80s and 90s, thought it was really fun in the video arcade. But the reality is it creates so much fatigue on you as a business owner, as a leader for your organization. You're exhausted by the end of the day because you're constantly putting out fires. And then the boundaries that it creates really create for you way more emotional opening. I have to tell you guys, I was having billing nightmares, not dreams, nightmares. And those stopped when we hired on this new billing team, because the new billing team's aligned with our system and they're aligned with our model. They care because they want us to succeed, so they will succeed. And I was like, this is so much different than what I've ever experienced. I've also recognized that in safety and trust, you get predictability. So in the last year that we've worked with this billing company, what's happened is we've increased our revenue by 23%. They helped real-time redesign the front end of our verification of benefits, and that totally increased our gains because of, we're in HMOs. I told you guys in the beginning, we're in a lot of different billing networks, and we're in HMOs. And with those guys, those of you that are in them, you got 90 days or you ain't getting it. So our previous group did not, they knew that, but they did nothing to change it. this new software, billing software, and the billing team that we have, they're so much better about that. Equally, I've recognized that a well-designed system ultimately is a gift to your team. And I've had clinicians come to me who said, I really didn't understand the methods of your madness. And I really thought that sometimes like you were just trying to like make things, a little bit different for what? And I was like, right. And now you get it. And they're like, totally get it. It's so much better. During COVID, we had a situation, we all had a situation when our diverse population of clients, we have a multilinguistic, multicultural practice in Chicago, figure that. And in that time when George Floyd was murdered, the staff were flipping. They didn't know what to do. The clients didn't know what to do. We were already in COVID. So I was like, well, what if we created a support group for the staff? So we ran that group weekly and sometimes bi-weekly in the very beginning just to help our staff out. And the staff were so happy because they actually felt heard and understood. I called it the Respect, Humanity, and Culture Support Group. And we still have that group running today. We still have it once a month. So what I recognized is that systems are for growth. They aren't for control. And I know so many practice owners that are trying their best to control it, just figure it out, make it better, without driving themselves insane. But I realize that when you have a good system in place, what ends up happening is that people are actually willing to grow. They're looking for growth. And so in doing so, I also recognize that the more we hold people accountable, the more they feel empowered. So you got to have a little bit of thick skin here, because back in the day, that same operations manager that was like, I want to help you out and I want to do your billing. And I said, sure, no problem. And then wanted to quit because I wasn't changing the EHR. That same person would come to those billing meetings with only her bills that were problematic. Now, did I mention to you guys the practice that I own has like 50-something clinicians? So if all we do is once a month spend time with our billing team for an hour, and she's hogging all the time with her client issues, and I'd step in and I'd stop her, but then she'd come right back. We never got to figure out what the problem was. So listen to your people, but don't let them run amok, because I've learned that the hard way. But ultimately, integrating these systems actually allow for systemic change to happen and for clinicians to feel more and more supported. I've also recognized, I said that, they feel compelled to communicate more, grow thick skin. I started during 2020, I was afraid of losing people, right? I think we all were, 2021 as well. So I created something called the Stay interview, where I asked in advance, what would make you leave? I still do that every year. And in doing so, I hear it all. Jennifer, why don't you provide us lunch every day? Jennifer, where are the tampons? Jennifer, why don't you help us with parking for our cars? Jennifer, and I'm like, they trust me. That's why they're asking, right? Of all these other things, these are extraneous issues. If the big things that we're working with on a regular basis are handled, they talk about extraneous issues, which again means that I feel like we're in a good place. We don't have too many pain points as a direct result. And ultimately, I feel like when you walk the walk and you talk the talk, people listen, people follow. So I ask you this, where in your practice is there the most uncertainty? I also ask you, what processes in your practice may need more clarity and warmth? My husband said, warmth? Where's warmth coming from? And I said, we're mental health practice. If we're not warm, we're screwed. He's like, oh, right. Get it. I was like, I figured you guys would get that. And is your current structure inhibiting or supporting your growth? Because again, if everything is led by you, the master behind the curtain, do people get it? I would think not. I tend to lead with these 6 qualities: integrity. And again, I'm going to say this about my husband. My husband's like, why? Why are you so transparent? He works for a lawyer practice. Why are you so transparent all the time? I'm transparent because I know then people will get me and they'll know that I'm real. Unlike, the soup to nuts and A to Z. It's real. I created a monthly detailed hours report. I want the data to speak for itself. And then excellence, always continuous improvement stuff. I'm always looking at that. And I'm always doing it in our bi-monthly meetings with the clinicians. And then from an empathy perspective, I've had so many HR people tell me, you know too much about your people. I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's a helpful thing. Sometimes it is a pain in the ass, but I think otherwise it's a really good thing because then people know that, again, I'm empathic and I'm generally understanding, but I still use the data. And then leadership-wise, I love crisis stability stuff. So I'm always looking for how the next crisis could happen and how we can avoid it, right? Knowing that I'm not going to figure everything out because life happens. And then I make sure that my supervisory team is looking at the vision and mission as well, because that's important. And again, do they have a voice? And yes, they do. And then responsiveness, agile decision-making. Like I said, the George Floyd situation, I was like, oh, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? What do we do? Had a small meeting, and that's where we came up with respect, humanity, and culture. And then authenticity. If you can't figure it out here, I just was standing on one leg. This is who I am. And I love people to show up for who they are. My neurodiverse clinicians, all the way down the channel for my very introverted people. I acknowledge that I see them, I want them to be here, and I want them to shine. To me, that's so important. And I love the real-time connection. Now, here's my ask for all of you. Consider one thing in your practice that you can audit when you go back home. All right. And recognize, where does structure feel soulless? And where is your soul craving more? Lean into the discomfort, because it's real, and find the soul of your practice. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for hanging out with us and listening to our speakers from the Group Practice Conference 2025. We are so excited to have you join us there. Make sure you put on your calendars Black Friday. That's when tickets open up. We want to make sure that you grab that ticket right away. We are so excited to be hosting this here in Traverse City.
We couldn't do the show without our sponsors, and Thrizer is our sponsor for today's episode. If you're doing private pay and you are sick of super bills, you're sick of insurance calls, you're sick of reimbursements, any of that, I want to tell you all about Thrizer. Make sure you check them out, because Thrizer is an amazing way to automate your claim submissions, manage claims end-to-end, and the best part is people can pay their copay for your sessions all within it. Head over to join.thrizer.com/Joe. Again, that's join.thrizer.com/Joe. And they're going to waive the first $2,500 in credit card fees. So it's awesome. Use promo code POTP for the free trial. Again, that's join.thrizer.com/Joe. Thank you so much for letting me into your ears and into your brain. Have a great day. We'll talk to you soon.
Special thanks to the band Silence is Sexy for that intro music, and this podcast is designed to provide accurate and authoritative information in regard to the subject matter covered. It is given with the understanding that neither the host, the producers, the publishers, or guests are rendering legal, accounting, clinical, or other professional information. If you want a professional, you should find one.